Okay, so I had written this entire speech, and then I remembered that it's actually the month of Nisan, and we're not supposed to eulogize during the month of Nisan. Then I read a couple of different Mefarshim and different commentaries that say that if it's short anecdotes and stories, then by all means, especially if it was a special person, then you can go ahead. So I'm going to go ahead with my pre-planned words. And if somebody is too religious and they can't hear eulogies in the month of Nisan, I apologize. So there's this, many years ago, I was around 7 years old. Me and my siblings, I'm one of 7, actually the middle child of 7, roaming around our home in Virginia, and the phone rings, and I pick up the phone. Hello? Yeah, who's this? Levi? Yeah, hey, Shaya, when are you guys going to be here? You guys on the way? I was super excited. But the truth is, excitement isn't even the word that I'm looking for. As my older sister, my 2 older brothers, my 3 younger brothers, 6 boys, 1 girl, every time Shaya used to come to town, the excitement was through the roof. It was, like my brother Zalman used to say, sure, it's Yom Tif, whatever it was, or Shoshani and Kippur, Sukkot, whatever it was, Yom Tif is exciting, but with Shaya, even before Yom Tif, the excitement had already begun. Shaya says, we'll be there in 20 minutes. How about doing your uncle a huge favor, he says. And I said, yeah, sure, well, whatever. He says, yeah, make me a coffee, you know, the way I like my coffee. 2 Folgers instant coffee bags, 2 of them, no sugar, in a large foam cup. Let it chill on the counter till I get there. Then he says, tell your parents I'll be there in about 6 hours just to have a little extra time. The trend continued. Every time that Shaya would come down, he would call. If I didn't answer the phone, he'd ask for me, and he asked me to make that coffee. At some point, I think that coffee became more important to me than it was to him, and I think he knew that. As long back as I can remember, until the birth of Chabad in Harlem, Shaya would bring Goldie and the kids, Yosel and Hanya, and later on, Rashi, or as Shaya used to call her in her early years, Tiny, which she's completely not anymore. Shaya would join our family for Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. Shaya was the Bat Tefillah, the Chazan for our Chabad house, and Goldie provided much needed companionship from my mother, and Yosel and Hanya provided exactly what we needed. Some other Lubavitchers, relatives, fun, relatable people to spend the Yom Tov with. Every Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur tune that I have etched in my mind, as you just heard, come from Shaya. I didn't even realize the inspiration and the emotion that he had until he stopped coming. To me, Shaya was Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur davening. In fact, the first time that I was not at home for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, I was in Montreal in yeshiva. I was living with my aunt and uncle, Beryl and Brandy. They should live and be well. Beryl is Shaya's brother. Chazan was one of my classmates, and I didn't recognize the tunes he was singing, and I really didn't care to. I just wanted to transplant myself back to Virginia, with Shaya in the front of the room singing his tunes, the Yadaiti and Va'akoyanim. Whenever somebody sings it off, I always get angry. They're singing it wrong. It never sits right with me. A few weeks ago, after Shaya passed away, I went to New York, and I was with my family, and the first Friday night, they sat Shiva from Sunday to Friday morning. Friday night, in true Gansbourg tradition, all of us nephews got together at the onset of Shabbos, and, all right, I'll say the truth, we had a couple of l'chaims. We sat down, we drank Shaya's favorite beer, ate Shaya's favorite foods, and discussed stories about Shaya. And we realized how many dozens of stories we each had with Shaya. An airport run, Shabbos afternoon walk to Park Slope where his brother-in-law lives, or even across the Brooklyn Bridge just for fun. Trips to visit our grandfather, our Zaydi in Florida, events at the Chabad of Harlem, the wait for and boarding the bus to summer camp, and much, much, much more. Of course, everyone's favorite was a Shaya trademark. A late-night cheap food run. If you knew Shaya loved that. Shaya would ring up his nephew, "You hungry?" Yeah, why not? He would come by, pick you up in one of his cars that he used to have. It was always a 4-door SUV, one of the small ones, until it got stolen about 17 different times. And until he got the Land Rover, if you guys are from Harlem, you know the Shaya car. He'd come by, pick you up, he'd take you to Schnitzy's, Burgers Bar, whatever it was. That was a true Shaya trademark. Shaya was a real character. He made a winning impression on everyone he came in contact with. Shaya left his mark wherever he went, but wherever he found himself, he never forgot what he represented: the Rebbe, Yiddishkeit, and the Torah. I will always remember Shaya for some of his most unique characteristics. If you know him, you can relate. He was funny. He could share a lighthearted moment with nearly anyone. He remembered the most random things about the most random people, and he took a keen interest in silly things. I remember him harassing me when I was younger, around 14, how I used to enjoy making minyanim just so I could be the gabbai. And after I got involved with Birthright, he used to harass me. Every time he would see me, he would harass me. When's the next time I'm traveling the Kav Tel Aviv, what he used to call it? I guess that means the Tel Aviv route. So many stories, I can go on forever. But in the Hayom Yom, which is a book of Torah thoughts that the Rebbe compiled for each day of the year, and I'm sure at some point Shaya printed it at some cheap rate in China. On Zion Adar, the day that Shaya passed away, it says, "It is imperative that every Jew know that he is an emissary of the Master of all, charged with the mission, wherever he may be, of bringing into reality God's will and intention in creating the universe, namely, to illuminate the world with the light of Torah and Avodah. This is done through performing practical mitzvahs and through implanting in oneself fine character traits." This was Shaya. If you knew him, you knew that. Shaya devoted his life to furthering Jewish causes, publishing Jewish books of Torah and Chassidus, visits to our Chabad house in Virginia, visits to his brother-in-law's Chabad house in Park Slope, his other brother-in-law in Little Rock, Arkansas, and Boynton Beach, and many nephews and nieces that he had visited throughout the years, and of course his visits to prison for Purim and for Yom Kippur, and last but certainly not least, Chabad of Harlem. Shaya made a difference on all the people that he met. He always made sure to ask about them. He would follow up with them. He would send regards to them. Like the most random people that were at our Chabad, it's just like people, like they came once a year, like, okay, we'll never see that guy again. Shaya would always ask about that guy. He was that guy. Of course, after Shaya passed away, all of me and my family members, we have to post it on Facebook so we can get the sympathy posts. But all jokes aside, if you see the posts that people posted from our community, it's evident that they remember him very lovingly, and they haven't even seen him in the last 8 years since Chabad of Harlem. Shaya saw many of his dreams come true in his short 57 years. He married off Yosef and Henya to very fine people, if I may add. He saw Rashi, which was the younger one. She grew up into mature and brilliant, and if you see her writing, Shaya used to be very proud of her writing, and that's what she grew up into, what she became today. He got to see, love, and cherish 4 precious grandchildren. He saw the Chabad houses he was involved with buy, in our case in Virginia, or build, in the case of Little Rock, Arkansas, for instance, and Boynton Beach, to build and buy beautiful homes and centers for their tremendous successes that he was a huge part of. And of course, he conceptualized, instrumented, coordinated, and directed the creation of Chabad of Harlem that grew, as the people from Harlem can attest, incredibly. It grew into a community, a synagogue, a center, and a family in 8 short but very hectic years. Shaya did not revive the Jewish community of Harlem. He created it. Shaya loved life. He loved people. He loved God. He loved Torah, Judaism, his family. He loved having fun. Shaya brought out the very best in people without them even knowing, and quite frankly, without him even knowing. At the end of the day, no words will suffice to describe the man that Shaya was, because to each of us, he was something else. The Shabbos before Shaya passed away, 2 of my brothers and myself were vacationing in Eilat. That's where a good Chabad boy goes for vacation. We were thinking, we had just found out before Shabbos that Shaya was back in the hospital, and we were thinking about him a lot. And it was late at night. The refrigerator of all the food we brought from Mea Sharim was empty, and our l'chaim rested on the table. So we lifted our glasses, and we proposed a toast to our Uncle Shaya, whom we all agreed was the epitome of a chayal. If you know the acronym chayal, he was a true chassid, he was a true Yiras Shemayim, and he was a true lamdan, from top to bottom. A chassid, a Yiras Shemayim, and a lamdan. That's who he was. I never thought I'd have to write a memorial speech about Shaya. I thought, if anything, I'd write a comical roast for his 60th birthday or something. But who are we to ask questions? Ebershter filled it out. God is in charge. And 30 days ago, that's when he wanted Shaya back. We must going forward, we have to remember that it's important to try and emulate his ways, commit to the Torah and mitzvahs, which he found so important, and to live in the ways that the Rabbi set forth for us. And I encourage you today to always remember Shaya for what he really was. A true champion of Torah, a devoted servant of God, and a tireless messenger of the Rebbe. The last time I saw Shaya was after his stroke. I went to see him to tell him I was going to Israel on a more long-term basis. We enjoyed a good laugh, which was near to the only thing he could do at full capacity at that point, about how he used to harass me about the Kav Tel Aviv, which to him it made perfect sense. The Kav Tel Aviv, I would be in Israel. After a good laugh, his eyes lit up. He produced his trademark smile and offered me a shining glance of approval. Thank God I saw him then. Who knew it would be the last time? Shaya, you want that coffee? Coming right up. I was honored to do that simple favor for Uncle Shaya, and proud even more to call him my Uncle Shaya. That's it. Thank you. My precious listeners, we will gather for Simchas and the ultimate Simcha very soon with Mashiach Tzidkenu.
Amen.